Good evening, everybody. Rajni from Sashakt Empowering Lives. So, here comes another video. This video today, it's a little touchy topic. It's not hardcore strategies. It's not even motivation, I would say. But it is more to do with certain realities of life. Yeah. A lot of people message me on this. I have one kid. Should I go for another kid? What are the chances that my child will have autism? Should I go for an expensive test? So I'm going to answer all of these queries in this today's video. Because I have been individually answering a lot of these. So today I'm putting up a video on this. That the hard facts of life. Dealing with a child, dealing with the trauma of having a child on the autism spectrum. Yeah. So why I say trauma? Now, like for the very motivated and encouraged mothers, yeah, the insanely active mothers like me. So we don't like to use the word trauma. But in general, for a mother who is going through a phase where she's feeling that something wrong happened, yeah, and all feelings are genuine. No feeling is ingenuine. I absolutely don't believe in saying don't feel like that. How do you not feel something? If I'm feeling that God cheated me, then I'm feeling that God cheated me. No, how do I not feel it? Yeah. Unless, of course, my way of thinking changes around it. I can't suppress myself to not feel a feeling. However, I can look at another viewpoint and then, in the light of that thought, think a little differently. That gives me a little less pain. Because pain or pleasure, it's something we are creating here in our factory. It's very clear. So, a lot of people say, do I go for another kid or not? What will happen? Oh, that's the favorite. What will happen to my kid after I'm gone? Yeah, favorite as in, favorite is a wrong word. In terms that it is the most frequently asked question. Also, do I have another kid? Yeah. So, first of all, for as long as you keep feeling that God did something wrong to you, you will not be able to give your 100% to the kid on the autism spectrum. Yeah. I remember the day I had that diagnosis so clearly in my head. And I was walking, I even remember where I was walking. It was a Tuesday and it was the local off day. Yeah, Sarita Vihar, Block H market, we were in Delhi, and I don't know if Tuesdays are still the off days there. It's very, very long ago, but that was a Tuesday. It was an off day and shutters were down, and I was walking on that path and I was coming back, and in one hand I had the report, and I wasn't even wondering if anybody's watching me. My eyes were watering down, and I was just walking, and I was like, "Mera bachcha handicap hai. I have a handicapped child." And I was walking. That was the first day of knowing that my kid had autism. Yeah. And I'm saying it openly on this platform that this was my thought at that moment. But the years as they went by taught me that my kid was not handicapped. That my kid deserved as much respect from me as a family and my family members and from the society, and he was capable of doing exactly everything that anybody else was capable of doing. But for this to happen, I had to consciously train my brain from that feeling, mera bachcha handicap hai. Is that what it is? God, you gave me a handicapped child. So from that feeling of not being dealt with fairly, of being not given justice, of now I ask you all Today I sit here in front of a camera and I'm making these videos and uplifting everybody, at least trying to uplift everybody to work to their highest potential so that we can do the best for the kid. Would this even have been possible if I would have had an iota of thing in my head that God, you did wrong to me? Yeah? Today, if you ask me, the biggest gift that ever happened to me was my son's autism. It brought me closer to the real me. It told me the meaning of living a life to the beat. It told me I was powerful, not only for myself, I was powerful for the world outside. For a lot of other people, I could impact a positive change in the society. What other thing could have given me that thought? What other thing could have given me that feeling of worthiness in my own eyes? Diamonds? No. Expensive gifts? No. Expensive cars? No. Today nobody needs to gift me something. I can go purchase on my own. Why that happened? Because I outgrew the feeling that God did something wrong. So the first thing you need to do is outgrow the feeling that this is something wrong. The minute you outgrow the feeling, it is not something wrong, this is how he is. And if he were neurotypical, this is how he would be. This is how things are. He is born like this and I accept him like this. It is okay. Yeah? Stop. And this will happen if you have a belief that he will do well. He will do well. Suppose you have a kid and one fine day he says, I find difficulty in, seeing properly. And you go to the ophthalmologist and he says, chashma lagega, minor sa number hai. Will you say, God, you did injustice to me? You will say, samne wale ka bachcha will become a doctor, my bachcha will become a doctor. He will be doctor without chashma, he will be doctor with chashma, big deal. Yeah? Or maybe as he grows up studying, he will also be doctor with chashma and this one will also be doctor with chashma, big deal. So you will not be worried because it's not a big thing. So many kids wear specs. It's really not a big thing. But the minute it is autism, then it is a very big thing. It is a very big thing. It is a handicap. And now this gives rise to questions. Will my second child also be like that? I'm just trying to build the connect. Yeah? Should we go for a test? Why do you need to go for a test? Suppose your second child is also like that, so what? You could bring up the first one, you can't bring up the second one. You can bring up both, no? You can bring up a third one also. You know how to deal with it. You're not worried. But because I don't know how to deal with it, I'm failing every day, I'm troubled every day. What if God does this unfair thing with me again? So the origin is that thought. Yeah. The second thing, if I have two kids, suppose the second one is neurotypical, will he respect this one or not? Of course, that is in your hands. How you will treat your child, your children, other children will treat that child the same way. If you will set very clear boundaries, you will respect the child, everybody else, the siblings will respect the child. If you will not respect, the siblings will also treat the child like dirt, no? So it is in our hands. Next, is it good for the child to have a sibling? Being a mother of one neurotypical and one neurodiverse, I can say it thumpingly, it is the best thing to have two kids. Yeah, if you can afford. Your neurodiverse child learns to share, which otherwise is not even a concept. So, but that's fine for any kid. Even a neurotypical kid finds difficulty in sharing if they have been raised singularly. Yeah, like as in not singularly. If both parents are also raising him, but he's the only kid, then there's no concept of sharing. Yeah, and sometimes that becomes a big problem with relationships. Like one of my students' mother was once talking to me, whose husband is a only child. And she said it is so weird at times that he will simply eat up the remaining pastry, that maybe you didn't want to have it, so I had it. There's no concept of sharing. So, and that would not strike him that this is her share. She didn't want it now, she would want it later. I cannot just simply have it. Which will happen when there is sharing. Sharing will happen when there are two kids. Lots of things which I as a mother will not be able to explain to my kid, but his or her sibling will be able to explain because they are the same age. What will it do for the other child? It will teach the other child tolerance towards the neurodiverse child. It will teach accommodation, because so many times the child will have to accommodate. Child would genuinely be wanting something but duck down because the other child has some need. So accommodating. Today's world, we have so many divorce cases. We have so much of trouble. We have so many young people are committing suicide. Why? There is no skill of accommodating. Now when I say accommodate, I don't mean condone somebody's wrong behavior. I don't mean accept abuse. But accommodating also means to be able to step into another person's shoes and see something from the other person's perspective and say it is okay. Because those are the time-bound values, not time-bound, timeless values. Those are the timeless values which we are somewhere forgetting. So when a kid has a neurodiverse sibling, these get automatically incorporated. They become more accommodating. They can understand another person's point of view. Empathy kicks in. Before they would say, oh, she did this, he did this. Say, wait, maybe they must have had a reason. That makes for a better place on earth. Yeah? As for the question, what will happen to my kid tomorrow? Neither you nor me nor even the chaiwala's father would have thought that the chaiwala would rule the country. Who are you and me to say what's going to happen to the future of a kid? Forget that. We don't know what's going to happen to the future of us. Do I know what is my future? Nothing. Who are we to ascertain? Our job is to do our job like it is in Gita. Karm kar. Bas. Phal uska kaam hai. So our job is to do our job. And know that if we have done our job well, there is absolutely no reason why we will not get rewarded. So if my kid at 18 years is independent, I can dream that at 24 he will have a job. At 30 he will have a wife. Neurotypical or diverse, doesn't matter. If I can train my son, I can train my bahu. That's fine. Not a problem. Whoever he likes, whatever can be done. If there are ups and downs, God forbid, in his life, if he has to go through the mess of divorce or something, then I'll be by his side to help him understand and help him go through that. If not, if he has a beautiful life, then I will still be there to support him whenever is required. And if I'm not on Mother Earth, he would have the skills to handle himself. Why will I not trust that? Yeah, so his life is sorted. That thought has to first come into my head so that I can sleep easy. That takes care of the question, what will happen to him after I'm gone? Now some people will say, oh, yours is going to college, you can think like that. My kid doesn't even, respond to somebody's name. What will I think? You will work until he begins to respond to the other person's name. And then you will work until he begins to read. And you will work until he begins to go to school and do things. Now some of you will say, oh, that may never happen to my kid. In that case, continue to develop independent skills until you can. And trust that if you have done your job well, God will make some or the other arrangement. There will be caretakers, there will be people, there will be stuff. Live easy. Autism is not a curse. It is what you make out of it. And this is what today's video is all about. Autism is what you make out of it. Yeah? So play it to the beat. God gave you a situation, do the best you can. I don't know if your child will reach the central secretariat like that person in Rajasthan who's an IS officer, or your child will not even be able to independently eat on his own. I don't know. That's for God to decide which way it goes. But between the two extremes, where he will be massively influenced by how much work you have put in. Yeah? So, the battle is not over until it is over. And have children, have more kids, let the child have a fulfilled life and forget about the question what will happen. Only good will happen. On that note, may each kid win, may each parent win, may each family win. Bye.